Hello yoga friends. For today's class you're going to need a strap or a belt, and then we're going to make our way down onto our backs. So this is a deep hip opening Hatha yoga class, and we're going to start by warming up into the hip joints. So once you're lying down on your back, bending your knees, placing feet on the floor, and we're going to alternate knee to chest. So as you exhale, bring one knee in, squeezing in tight. As you breathe in, taking your foot back to the floor, and then going from side to side. Out breath squeezes your knee up. Exhale takes your foot back to the ground. And we're going to do quite a few of these. As I said, we want to warm into the hip joint, which means warming into the fluid in the capsule, as well as starting to warm up the connective tissue, your ligaments, your fascia, your tendons, as well as your muscles related to movement in the hip joint. So sink those shoulders, relax your neck as you alternate side to side. Keep focusing on your breath as you move. And now bringing both feet to the floor, keeping your knees bent, move your feet sideways out to the sides of your mat. So wide feet wider than hips, and with your exhale, roll your knees down to one side. As you breathe in, rolling them back up to where you started, and keep rolling left to right now. So as you roll, notice how your lower back is feeling. If it's feeling tender or sore, don't let your bum come off the ground as you roll. Keep the hips down, and then the knees won't go so far over to each side as you roll them. And that's absolutely fine. You'll still get the warm up in the hip joint. You just won't get that strain in your lower back. If your lower back feels fine here, then by all means let the pelvis tilt left to right. We start to warm up into the spinal column as well. Really flattening down with your shoulders into the ground, keeping the arms nice and heavy and relaxed, and keeping your mind focused on the movement of your breath. And now next time knees point up to center, we'll keep them there. Step your feet back into hip distance apart and bring your left ankle onto your right thigh, just above your knee in your upside down figure of four shape, stretching your right leg up to the sky. And you can flex the ankle or point. I like to flex because it gives you that extra stretch down the back of the right calf and thigh, all the way into the right glutes. And now check that your left ankle is flexed as well. So this shape in the knee and that left leg puts a bit of strain on the knee joint. So whenever we strain in the knee, we flex the ankles to engage the leg muscles to protect the knee. And now you're holding onto that right leg, so the shoulders will be lifted. Allow your shoulders to soften down. Lowering your right foot to the ground first, then your left foot to change sides. Right ankle comes onto the left thigh just above the knee. Stretch that left leg up. Point or flex. As I said, I like to flex. And let the legs feel nice and heavy. Try not to have that right knee sinking too close towards your body. We're gently pressing the right thigh and knee and shin away from you to help release the right inner groin and thigh. And then checking in with those shoulders. So sink the shoulders and relax your neck and your throat. Staying aware of the breath as it flows in and out. With each exhale, sinking deeper into your back body. Keep your right ankle where it is as you take your left foot down to the floor, and then take right foot to the floor as well. And now stretch your legs straight on the ground, and we're going to do some hip circles. So feet touching, ankles flexed. Bring your left knee up into your chest, and then circling your left thigh and knee around in the air. I like to do this with hands on hips so that I can feel if my pelvis is moving, and you don't want that to happen. Keep your pelvis and your hip joints completely stable, unmoving, and square on the mat. As you roll out to the side, your right hip might want to lift. So let's change directions and keeping that right hip down. Don't let it go up and down. Keep it down. Same with your shoulders. Square them on the mat and keep them both down. And now next time your knee comes to your chest, you can hold onto your knee or your shin or even back of the thigh and squeeze in tight. As the left thigh comes towards your chest, stretch even longer through your right leg, pushing your heel away from your hip, but pulling your right toes up towards your shin or your right knee. Keep sinking the back of the right thigh down to the ground. Check that the shoulders are not hunching up, sink them down as well. Each time you breathe out, softening the belly down a little bit more. Then stretching your left leg on the floor and bringing the right knee up for circles on the other side. Straight into your rotations once that right thigh is lifted. Fingers on the hip bones, so again, so that you can feel if that pelvis is rolling left to right or tilting up and down. Squeeze your belly flat down towards your spine. Keep breathing as you move. And now circle around in the opposite direction, keeping your whole body completely stable and still except for that right leg. Only thing that's moving is from the right hip down to your right toes. Don't let the neck get tight. Next time you bring knee or shin up, hold onto your leg with your hands. Press the upper arm bones down towards the ground. Soften across your chest. And keep stretching long through your left leg. So pressing the left heel away from you and pulling your left toes up. And now bringing your left leg into your chest as well. Giving yourself a hug. Squeeze in nice and tight to lengthen the lower back. And then we're going to move into a Supta Baddha Konasana. So dropping feet to the floor again. Let the knees flop open away from each other. Soles of the feet face each other. Now you can rest your arms on the floor or hands on your body or arms over your head. Then the elbows will be bent to help drop the shoulders and release the armpits down. And if your feet feel like they're too close to your pelvis, slide them further away from you. It really doesn't matter how close your feet are to your body right now. We want those thighs to feel comfortable. So adjust your legs for comfort, not for what you think is going to stretch yourself more, which is often bringing the feet too close to the body. And now notice the breaths. Fully softening your belly, softening your rib muscles, relaxing across the chest, and softening into your sides. With each exhale, relaxing more through your whole body, and particularly softening into the outer hips and the outer thighs here. Allow your breath to be really soft and gentle. Your breath can be deep or maybe they're shallow. That doesn't matter. Allow the breath to flow fluidly and gently. Relaxing all the muscles in your face. Soften over your forehead, into the eyes and the eyelids. Relax your cheeks, lips, your mouth. And soften the jawline from the earlobes all the way down to the tip of your chin. And now we're going to stretch the legs straight and let your feet flop open. Rest your arms again anywhere that feels right. Just take a couple of breaths here. And now we're going to have a stretch. So reaching your arms over your head, hold onto your left wrist with your right hand and pull that left arm long and stretch into your left toes at the same time. So getting a full side body stretch down the whole left side. And then change over. Hold on to right wrist, pull that right arm long with your left hand, stretch into the right toes. And change again. And now maybe curving your body over towards the right as you pull that arm over your head and reach into your left toes again. And change over to the other side, pull the right arm over your head, stretch into your right toes. Coming back to center. We're going to take a twist here, so bend your left knee up, right leg is straight on the ground, and twist the left thigh over the right thigh. You can rest your right hand on that left leg if that's comfortable for you. And then maybe turning your left palm up to the ceiling with your hand alongside your head and the palm facing up, but left elbow on the ground. And that's a good way to help that left shoulder to stay grounded, as well as to open the chest. And now rolling yourself up to center. We stretch left leg out on the floor, bend your right knee up, and take your twist over to the other side. So we're turning the right palm up, bending that right elbow so it can touch the floor. And sink the right shoulder down, flat into the mat. Nose points up, not to the left. And now with each exhale, sinking down a little bit more into your upper body so that it's well rooted to the ground. Keep noticing your breath as it flows. And then rolling yourself back up to center. Now you're going to need your strap or your belt. And we bend the knees, place the feet on the floor hip distance apart. Keep your right foot there and then take your strap over your left foot. So we kick the left leg up, but make sure that your bum and your lower back are on the ground and that you're not tipping to the left or the right hip or lower back. You're centered on your spine. The strap is over the base of your toes, not over the arch of the foot or the heel. And that left knee can be bent or straight. Keep dropping down through the inner thighs towards the ground. And keep sinking your shoulders. Now holding onto your straps with your right hand, and we'll take a twist. So drop that right knee, the bent one, over to the floor on the right and take your left leg over your body. As that left leg goes over your body, left shoulder flattens down deeper into the ground. That lifted leg can be bent or straight, doesn't matter, but keep flexing your ankle to get the stretch and length through the back of the calf and thigh, which can happen with bent or straight knee. And soften into and lengthen through both sides of your neck. Then lifting that left leg back up to center. Strap off, left knee bends, foot to the ground. Take your strap over your right foot. Left knee is bent with the foot on the ground and the left knee pointing straight up to the roof. Now again, settle into your pelvis. Sink the hips down evenly on each side. And also don't tip more to your left or your right shoulder. Balance that weight out fully. Your right leg can be bent or straight. Now sink the shoulders, sink the upper arms and the armpits so that you are not tightening your neck. Now we're taking the twist, holding your straps with your left hand. Drop the left knee to the ground on the left and take your right leg over your body. Then counterbalance by sinking the right shoulder flat down into the floor behind you. The right leg can be bent, but keep flexing into the ankle. So stretching into the heel and pulling your toes back towards your right knee. Soften into the muscles in your face again. And keep watching the breath flow. Bringing that right leg back up to center. Take your strap off, you don't need it anymore. And then hug your knees into your chest. Squeeze in nice and tight. Release the lower back and balance it out. And from here we're going to make our way up to sitting. So we're going to come into cross legs. Once you're up, lift your chest up nice and high. Let the knees sink. And let's take a twist. So we'll circle around to the left. Left hand behind you, right hand to the outside of the left leg. And preferably turning your right palm away from that left leg so that you can't pull onto the leg and lift it up. We want the thighs to go down to help them soften. And then keep growing up tall. So each time you breathe in, lift through your side waists, lift through the sides of the neck, and lift through the very top of your head. Always growing up and creating length on the in-breaths. Now you keep that height and circle yourself forwards. We're going to change the cross of the legs, opposite shin in front, and sink those thighs and knees down, and on an exhale, twist to the right. Left palm turns away from the outside of that right leg. And as much as you're lengthening up with each inhale, each time you breathe out, sink the thigh bones, sink the knees, and let your shins drop down as well. Relaxing into the soles of the feet and the toes. Keep breathing yourself taller and taller. Keeping that height as you untwist. We're stretching the legs straight out, feet together, and then bend your left knee up. So hold on to that left leg with your right hand or forearm or elbow and swivel all the way around, taking left hand behind you. Check that the right foot is flexed. Pull your toes up towards your knee and keep your right knee pointing straight up. Now, if you're taking that right arm to the outside of the left leg, drop the shoulder so that your right shoulder is on the same level as your left shoulder. It's not hunching up into the side of your neck or your ear. Keep lifting your chest up nice and high. And on an in-breath, we're going to untwist, turn forwards, stretch the left leg straight on the ground, and change to the other side, bending the right knee up. I like to wrap my arm around the leg because that keeps the shoulders and the neck soft and releasing. But you're welcome to take arm to the outside of that right leg so long as you don't hunch the shoulder up. Keep using your breaths to lift your heart and lift through your upper back. Check that left foot, flex into the ankle, stretch your heel away from you as you pull your toes back towards your knee. And then circling forwards again. And either keeping both legs straight, or if it's comfortable for you, back into cross ankles. We're taking a forward fold over the shins, so tipping onto your hands. And the more you slide your hands and your arms forward, the more you need to lengthen in your chest to flatten out the back. So if your chest hunches back towards your belly, then your spine will round and your back gets locked over tight. So we release the back by lengthening the chest forward, lengthening the top of your head forward. Don't look back towards your chest. So either looking straight at the ground if you're quite low, or looking towards your hands. Then walking the hands all the way up. We change the cross of the legs, opposite shin in front this time, and then fold down again. The closer you get to your shins with your chest, the more you need to stretch the chest forwards. So forward bending here with a round back will feel like you're stretching your back, but you're not. You're actually creating tension. So try to flatten out the front of the body, and that will lengthen and release your back body. Each time you breathe out, softening the inner groins and thighs and letting the knees drop deeper. And walking your hands all the way up. And we're going to move into wide legs. So we open legs out into a V shape. And whenever you're sitting with your V shape, check your feet. Keep your feet flexed. Don't flop the toes open. Keep toes straight up. And then we're going to reach side to side. So on an exhale, tip to one side, inhale up to center, moving left to right in your own time. Keep both sides of your bum and both sides of the backs of the thighs down on the floor. We want a really good stable base here so that you can get the full release in each side as you reach over. Flowing and moving with the breath. Next time you reach over to one side, we'll stay there. Full stretch into the fingertips, and at the same time lengthen the top of your head in the direction of your fingers. Don't drop your head over and down to your shoulder. So extending through both sides of the neck. On an in-breath, we come up to center. On an out-breath, tipping over to the opposite side. Still keeping the hips well rooted to the ground, still flexing the ankles to engage your leg muscles. And breathing yourself back up to center, and we're going to come into Botha Konasana. Now don't hold onto the toes. We're going to keep the toes down, hold onto your ankles or the arches of the feet, and bounce your knees up and down. Keeping your spine tall. Keep bouncing. And then we're going to rock side to side. Give those gluteals a good massage out. Don't worry if your bum doesn't come off the ground. Maybe you're just shifting your weight left to right. Maybe you can do a full rock all the way over until your outer knee actually touches the floor. It's different for everyone, so don't stress about it. Just do what feels right for you. And making your way back to center, we're going to open those legs out again, flex the ankles, keep the toes straight up, and taking eagle arms. So we wrap right arm underneath the left, twist those forearms together if you can, so cross above the elbows, and try not to lean your forearms over to one side. So you're looking to the backs of the forearms, and if you can't twist the forearms, you hook your fingers over your shoulders. And then keep lifting the upper arms and the elbows. You'll still get a good stretch over your upper back. And that's usually for guys who have a bigger upper body. It's quite difficult to get the twist of the forearms. Okay, release the arms out and then change. Swing your left arm underneath your right, either hooking fingers over shoulders or taking the forearm twist. And then keep lifting your elbows up. Don't lean the forearms over to one side. We're looking at the back of the forearms or the wrists. And keep stretching up through the top of your head as well. And then releasing your arms down. We're bringing the legs together again. And then bend your left knee up and step your left foot over your right thigh for another twist. So wrapping the arm around or holding onto that left leg with your right hand. Again, if you're taking arm to the outside of the leg, drop the right shoulder so the shoulders are square with each other. Keep flexing your right ankle and pulling toes up towards your right knee. And now check in with your left bum. Press your left bum flat onto the floor. Don't tilt over onto your right hip. You tip onto the right side of your body, then you start to tighten the left side of the body. So sink the left bum down and keep lengthening up through the left side body. Then untwisting yourself, stretch the left leg forward and bend the right knee up, stepping right foot over the left thigh. Circle around to the other side, holding on with the left arm or taking the left arm to the outside of that right leg, but then balancing out the chest and the shoulders. Flex into your left ankle, don't flop the foot. Left toes point straight up with your left knee. And each time you breathe in, grow up taller through the very top of your head. Keep softening your throat and your face. And keep your height as you untwist yourself. We're making our way onto hands and knees. Knees a little bit apart underneath the hips. Shins are parallel to each other behind you. Feet are on the floor. Hands under shoulders. Moving into cats and cows. In breath to drop the chest and look forward. Out breath, round up into your cat stretch, lengthening your back body. Each time you breathe out, squeeze the belly up tight. Each time you breathe in, keeping that belly tight even though you're lengthening through the front of the body. So fully breathing into your side ribs and your back because you can't breathe into the tummy right now. Now we're coming to flat spine and you're going to slide your arms forward and we come into a baby down dog. Let the head sink. Doesn't matter if forehead can't touch the floor. And if it's more comfortable for you, you can drop your elbows and forearms to the ground. Make sure your hips and thighs are straight up over your knees. You're not leaning the thighs at a diagonal angle to the floor. And get really heavy with your feet and your toes, pressing them down to the ground. Now making your way up onto your hands, we're going to tuck toes and lift your knees up, coming into downwards facing dog. We're going to hold our down dog for a few breaths, but you're welcome to pedal the knees, bicycle the knees, pedal the heels. And then walk your feet forwards, coming into a standing forward bend at the top of the mat. We have our feet hip distance apart to give better release across the lower back. And your knees can be bent or straight. Check that the feet are parallel to each other. Either just hanging your arms down or holding onto forearms or elbows with your hands and letting the top of the head point towards the floor. Soften into your throat. Relax the sides and the back of the neck so you can get a full traction out. Then dropping the arms down, and on an inhale, float them all the way up over your head to standing. Exhaling, hands to chest or arms to sides. Inhale and reach your arms up. On your exhale, forward fold. Half lift and lengthen on an in-breath. Make your way back into your downwards dog. Keep breathing. On an inhale, come forwards into plank. On an exhale, lower yourself down. Next in-breath, chest lifts up. Pull shoulders towards your spine when you're in that back bend. and then breathing yourself back to hold your downwards facing dog again. First thing we do in every single down dog is check the placement of the hands, spaces between your fingers, all fingers and the whole side of each hand and palm flat on the ground. Let the neck relax again. And then take your feet forwards to the top of the mat. Sink down deep to the forward fold on an exhale. And on an in-breath, we float up, arms overhead. On your exhale, bring the hands down, staying standing. Next in-breath, we reach straight up again. As you breathe out, forward fold. Tip into your toes. On an in-breath, half lift. Taking it back to your down dog again. You're welcome to jump if you want to. In-breath brings you forwards to plank. And you can drop your knees if you need to help yourself lower down. Make sure you go down with a flat spine, not sinking the hips to the ground first. And then through the back bend and back to your down dog in your own time. So you check the alignment of your hands, and you do that in every single down dog that you ever get into. Never assume that your hands and your fingers are aligned. And then aligning the feet as well. So your heels are behind your ankles and your toes. Maybe just the inner heels peeping around. Otherwise, you shouldn't be able to see those heels in your down dog. Making your way forwards to the top of the mat. On an exhale, sink down deep in your forward fold. Next in-breath, we rise, arms all the way up. And your exhale brings hands down. Move in your own time with your own breath. Inhale to reach overhead. Exhale to forward fold. Tip forwards into toes. Half lift as you breathe in. And back to your down dog again. On an in-breath, coming forwards to plank. On your exhale, lower yourself down. Rolling through the back bend. Lift the chest on an in-breath. And then make your way back to hold your down dog. Remember, guys, in down dog, your knees do not have to be straight. If your knees are bent, just keep squeezing your heels towards the ground and you'll still get a good stretch into your calves and your hamstrings. Now this time when we come forwards to the top of the mat, we're going to take a squat. So take your feet out, hip width or wider apart, and either elbows to insides of knees, or your hips a little bit higher and elbows on the thighs or knees. Now make sure that your heels are on the ground. You've got a deep flexion in the knee joint here, which is not good to do for too long on a toe balance. So try and get the heels down. Take the feet wide enough to get heels down. Moving into standing forward bend. So feet turn parallel, and then we're just hanging down for a few breaths. And we're going to move into that squat again. So once more, check the heels are on the floor as the knees bend, even if that means you've got to keep your hips a little bit higher, or you've got to take your feet a lot wider. Heels can be off the mat if you need to. Once again, bum to the sky, standing forward bend, turn the toes in so outer edges of the feet are parallel, and just hang yourself all the way down. So this alternating between squatting and forward bend, great way to release a lot of tension related with the hip joint. And one more time, sitting down into your squat. Check the inner arches of your feet are lifting high. For a third time, taking yourself into your forward bend, change the alignment of the feet. Sink all the way down. You're welcome to hold onto your ankles or your calves with your hands. Make sure that the neck is relaxed anytime you're in your standing forward bends. Now we're going to move into a high lunge. So release the forward fold. Step your right leg back behind you. Check that your left knee is over your left heel, straight up over the heel. Right leg is straight back behind you, and we're going to twist. Right hand on the ground, either left hand on hip or lower back, or left arm straight up over your shoulder to the sky. Face can look down towards the ground, or turning in the direction of your chest, or looking up towards that top hand. Then bringing your left hand to the ground, moving into Pasvattanasana, right heel turns in and down behind you, both legs stretch straight. We want the front knee straight. If you can't get that happening, step the right foot closer to the left foot and try and get the front knee straight then. So you can adjust how far down the mat that right foot is. But make sure the right heel turns in and down to the floor. So right foot is at a diagonal angle, front foot points straight forwards. And either staying on your hands on the mat or even on your shin or your ankle, or lengthening the arms forward. Then we try to make the back leg stronger. So push down harder into your back heel than you are into your front leg. Really root down through the back heel. And stepping your right foot forwards, we change to the lunge on the other side. Left leg back, left hand stays on the ground, either right hand to your right hip or right lower back, or stretching that right arm straight up over your shoulder. Choose which direction you're going to turn your face, and keep locking the left knee straight if you can. You want that back leg straight to get the proper release over the front of the left hip and thigh. And bringing the right hand down, and we're going into Pasvattanasana. Turn your left heel in and down to the floor at a 45-degree angle. Stretch the front knee straight and stay in the fold. And again, if you need to, step your left foot further up your mat towards your right foot. You shorten the distance between the 2 feet if you can't get the front knee straight. If it's easy to get it straight, then you'd step that foot way back. You work your boundary there of how far the foot can go back without bending the front knee. Back heel has got to be on the ground. Dig it down hard into the floor. And stepping your left foot forwards. And on an inhale, we rise, arms all the way up, staying standing. Exhale, arms down. We're going to do a couple of balances here. So check that the feet are parallel. And we're going to balance on the right foot and bring your left knee up into your chest. Hold onto your knee or your shin or even the back of your thigh with your hands. And lift up really tall. Don't forward bend towards that left leg. Careful that you're not tipping back into your spine either. So completely up straight. Then taking left foot to the ground, check that it points straight forward and change to the other side. Now really squeeze that leg up, back completely straight up over the hips. And keep taking your shoulders to your spine as well. And then foot down to the ground. And now we're going to do what you did lying on your back with circling the knee. So balance on right foot, lift the left leg up, and then we roll that left thigh and knee around in the air. So hands on hips so that you can feel if the pelvis is tilting back and forwards or twisting backwards and forwards or up and down. Circle around in the opposite direction. Keep the shoulders and the chest nice and square. Keep breathing. And taking left foot down to the ground. Check the alignment of your standing foot, then take it to the other side. Right knee up, hands are still on the hips as you roll that right thigh and knee. And you don't have to go very wide here, guys. The wider you go, the more your pelvis will want to twist. Circle around in the opposite direction. Keep your shoulders back. and then taking foot down to the floor. Feet are parallel. With an inhale, reach arms up. On your exhale, forward fold. We're staying in the forward bend. We're going to reach back and find hands. Take your feet out to the sides of your mat so they're wider than your hips, and bend your knees to release the hamstrings and the lower back. Then slowly tipping forwards as you stretch the legs straight. They don't have to be completely straight. Maybe your knees stay bent, but keep pressing your knees out away from each other. So that will engage your leg muscles. Strong leg muscles always gives a release to the back. So press the knees out, press the thighs out, and that also widens in the sits bones. Then releasing your arms down, and we're keeping feet wide. We're going to step the left leg back into a lunge, and then turn your left heel in and down. Now right foot is on the right side of the mat, right leg is straight, left heel is turned in and down behind you, left toes touch the left side of your mat. Now we're coming to Parsvattanasana again, a little bit different from the last time. So it's wide feet and your hands are and arms are on the inner side of that right leg. So last time your hands were on either side of the right leg, now both arms are on the inside of the right leg. And again, make the back leg stronger. Dig your left heel down really hard into the floor and try to shift your weight onto your back leg rather than onto your front leg, even though you're folding over that front leg right now. If you can't reach the arms forward, you've got hands on shin or ankle, or even hands on a block if you have a block. Keep stretching into both knees. Notice your breaths. Lengthen into the breaths. Now we're going to step forward. So when you step forward, left foot is on the left edge at the top of the mat. And we'll take the right foot back. Turn your right heel in and down behind you. Right toes touch the right edge of the mat. Both legs straighten. If you can't get the front leg straight, don't step the back leg back so far. And again, if you can, then we'll lengthen out the side body, reach your arms forward. Otherwise, you place hands wherever you can, but both arms on the inside of the left leg. Your feet are wider than your hips, wider than your shoulders to the sides of the mat. Make that back leg really strong. Push the back heel down hard into the floor and try and shift your weight back into your back leg. You don't want to feel like the front leg is working so much. It's the back leg doing all the work here. Each time you breathe in, stretch your chest further forwards to flatten out your back. And now this time to go out, we're stepping back into downwards facing dog. And from your down dog, coming forwards into plank and lowering flat down onto your mat. We're going to be taking a half frog. So resting your forehead on your hands or your forearms. Reach back with your left hand for your left foot or toes or ankle. And squeeze that left heel in towards your body. Now make sure that your thighs are parallel to each other. Knees are as wide as your hips, and fully sink into your pelvis, fully sink into your chest. Make sure you're not tipping into your right shoulder and your right hip. Your knees are as wide as your hips, not wider. And then changing over to the other side. Sink the forehead down, rest and relax your neck, and hug your right foot in towards your body. Make sure your right knee stays on the floor, don't let it lift. Relaxing across your upper back. And noticing how it rises and falls as you breathe in and out. Then letting go of your right foot, we're going to push up and make our way back into downwards facing dog. From down dog, taking your feet forwards to your hands. And then stepping your left leg back down your mat, walk your hands around to the left side of your mat. So we're coming into a wide leg forward fold here. You can either just hang your arms or take your palms to the ground or forearms on the mat. If you've got hands on the ground, make sure that your hands are as wide as your shoulders or wider apart, and that your elbows are straight up over your wrists. They're not leaning in or out. And keep pressing your knees out away from each other. Keep widening the inner thighs away from each other. And now we're going to walk up onto hands under shoulders. Don't have your arms back at a diagonal under your chest. And then turning your heels in slightly, or lunge side to side. So if this is difficult for you, bring your feet narrower towards each other. Keeping hands to center so that you don't stop engaging your core muscles as you move. We don't want to use the arms to hold you up. We want to use your torso strength. Just keep lunging left to right. And make sure that you're not lifting the edges of the feet. So keep the outer edges of the feet down so you're getting a good stretch on the outer ankle here. And coming back to center and turning the toes in once more. Hands onto hips, elbows point straight up. On an in-breath, come all the way up. Now we're going to move into a triangle. So turning your left toes to the top edge of your mat. Spread the arms wide on an in-breath. On an exhale, fold over. You balance your hand where you need it, maybe on your shin, maybe on your ankle, or palm or fingers on the ground. You can also have your right hand on your hip. You don't have to stretch your arm up. If you're reaching your arm up, make sure that you're taking your shoulder towards your back and that top arm, and keep leaning towards your spine. Imagine that you have a wall behind you that you're leaning against with your upper back and the back of your head. Keep pulling the leg muscles tight to your leg bones and squeeze the toes into the ground as you come up on an inhale. Or turn your left toes in, turn your right toes to the other edge of your mat. On an exhale, we fold over. Left hand can come to your left hip or be stretching straight up. And once again, lean towards your back. So the more you lean towards your spine, the more this becomes a balancing posture, which is good because the more you're having to balance, the more you have to hug your muscles into your bones to hold them up. And that will strengthen you. Strengthening and lengthening and opening at the same time. And coming all the way up again. Turn those right toes in so feet are parallel to each other once more. And with an exhale, we fold down. We're going to hold on to the legs this time. So you can hold on to ankles, calves. You can either hold on to knees or thighs. But keep pressing those knees open away from each other. Always wanting to balance out your strength and your stretch. So pressing the legs out is going to create strength. Keep lifting the arches of the feet up and gripping your toes down into the floor. That also firms your leg muscles. Now walking up onto your hands again. Turn your right toes to the top edge of your mat. Walking your hands forward to either side that right foot and turning onto the back toes. Drop your left knee to the floor. We're coming into a low lunge. Check that the right heel is directly under your right knee and take your arms back. Find your hands behind you. So either interlacing fingers or clasping the palms shut. Stretch open that chest. And then releasing hands down either side the right leg, and we're going into a half splits. So you're going to move your left bum and left hip and thigh over the left knee. Stretch the right leg straight. Flex your right ankle. And if you can't reach the arms all the way forward, you bring your hands under shoulders or even hands on your shin or hands on a block if you have a block. But important here to have that left hip over the left knee. Don't lean your bum back over your left calf or foot. And then each time you breathe in, stretch your chest forwards, looking towards your shin or your foot unless you're folded all the way down. Don't look back at your chest. That's going to round your back and create tension. And walking up onto hands again. We lunge forward, line up your front heel under your right knee, and take your arms up to warrior one. So arms are parallel alongside your head. And if you can't do straight elbows, soften the elbows to release your shoulders. Again, often if you're bigger upper body, if you're a man, you need to create a little bit more space because you've got broad shoulders, you've got bulky muscles. Then take the hands wider and soften the elbows. And taking hands to the ground, we're going to step the left foot forwards and change to the low lunge on the other side. Right leg steps back, dropping your right knee to the floor. Check the alignment of the front knee and calf over the front heel. And once you lift your chest, reach your arms back, interlace or clasp hands. If you're really particular, you're going to have the other baby finger on the outside this time. Feels a little bit weird in the wrists and the shoulders. Unless you do that quite often, then it will start to feel quite normal. And taking your hands down to the floor for your half splits on this side, move the hips back, right hip over the right knee, stretch the left leg straight. And important here, flex your ankle to get the full length in the back of that left leg. Even if that left knee is a little bit bent, that's fine. Important part here is right hip over the right knee and then pulling those left toes as far up as you can towards your shin. Careful not to look back at your chest or your body or that right leg. Look straight down to the ground or even forwards towards that front foot or your hands. Using your breath to take the chest forward each time you breathe in. Then we're making our way into our lunge again. Line up your front heel under your front knee, still in the low lunge, and then taking your arms up. So if you can, it's elbows locked straight, arms completely parallel to each other. Or if you need to, if you've got tension in the neck or the upper body or the chest, take the arms wider, bend the elbows until you feel comfortable. Keep breathing consciously. Now bringing hands down, and we're stepping to the top of the mat. We're going to take a squat again. Take your heels out wide enough. So heels should be wider than hips so that you're not on your toes and balancing with heels off the ground. Keep flattening into your back. And then forward fold. Keeping feet on the edges of the mat again. Turn the feet parallel. We're taking a twisting forward fold. Right hand hooks over left ankle or calf, and either left hand on your left hip or stretching that left arm straight up. We've got 3 ways you can turn your head. Choose one. Make sure the sides of your neck are both lengthening. Keep breathing. And tipping into your toes, not to your bum. We'll sweep that left arm over to the opposite side, holding onto the right leg, either right hand to right hip or right arm straight up over your shoulder. Just like your other standing forward bends, press the knees out away from each other to widen in the sits bones and the lower back. releasing arms down. Now we're going to take a third Pasvatanasana. Left leg steps back down the left edge of your mat. Turn the left heel in and down and stretch your front knee straight. Hands on the inside of that right leg or foot. Now, keep your hips centered. Keep your knees twisting forwards as you walk your hands out towards the left side of your mat. Now, as you reach your arms out to the left, your bum will want to twist to the right and your knees will want to twist to the left in the direction you're reaching. Keep twisting your left knee forwards. Keep twisting your right knee forward. Don't change the back foot. Back foot is at a diagonal on the floor with the heel in and down, and the heel has got to be on the ground. Push down hard into that left heel like you did earlier. Then walking arms forward. Step the left foot to the left side of the front of your mat. Take your right leg back. Turn the right heel in and down and stretch your front leg straight. Right toes are touching the right edge of the mat. And then walking your arms out to the right. So again, don't turn the feet. Left toes point forward. Right foot is a 45-degree angle. And we're twisting the knees towards the front of your mat, not out towards the right. Keep checking in on your knees, right? If you're not conscious of the knees, they'll just do their own thing here. Right knee twist forward, left knee twist forwards in the direction of the left toes, reaching out to the right as far as you can with your hands and your torso. And then walking hands forwards. We're going to step feet back to the top of the mat. And now this time bring your feet in to touch each other. So big toes and heels together. Fingertips on the ground. And we're bend and straighten into the knees. Now you're leaning forwards onto your hands or your fingertips. So your weight is into the toes, not into the heels. But heels are on the ground. You exhale to bend the knees. Inhale to stretch them straight. And now we're going to toe balance. Keep the knees together and try and lift your heels up as high as you can, just coming onto the toes, not onto the very tips of the toes. Toes are still tucked under like a lunge. Then lowering your heels down and sinking into your full forward fold. You can hold onto your legs or hang arms or just keep trying to stretch fingertips or palms to the ground, but tip into the toes just like when you're on your toe balance. Then we're going to take it into a lunge again. Left leg steps back, lowering the knee to the ground, right heel directly under your right knee, and then arms back up alongside your head. And in these lunges, you can always look forwards or you can look up towards your hands. Looking up just gives you more of a stretch in the throat and the chest and the front body. Looking forward will give you better balance. Let's open to Warrior Two. Right arm forward, left arm back. Press the right forearm into the right knee to open in the groin. And that left arm behind you, turn the palm to face up to open the shoulder. You can look back over that left hand. Keep taking shoulders to spine. Circling hands to the inside of the right foot. Take your right foot out to touch the right edge of your mat. And now we're going back into our half splits again. Left hip over the left knee. Flex your right ankle and pull your right toes towards your right shin. Either keeping hands on the ground under your shoulders or lengthening the arms forward on the inside of that right leg. So we're doing lots of repetitions today of different poses, just with slight differences that makes actually quite a big difference in the release around the hip joint. Keep flattening out your spine, and you do that by lengthening your chest forwards away from your belly. Don't look at your tummy or your chest. Look down or look forwards. Now we're going to move forwards into a lizard. So walk back up onto hands. Come into your low lunge. Slide the right heel under the right knee. Arms are still on the inside of that right leg. We either balance on the hands with the arms straight, or you can take it down lower to forearms. Then you take right arm down first, then left arm. If we take the left arm down, we tend to unbalance in the chest and the pelvis. So check the alignment of that right shin bone directly over the heel. Right toes point forward, right knee is directly over the right heel. That alignment is important for the release in the hip on the right side. Try to keep your weight into the back of the right thigh more than leaning into the front of the left thigh, which is tempting to do once you're down on the forearms particularly. Make sure that that right foot is wider than your right shoulder. Elbows or arms are directly under the shoulders. Don't have the hands touching here. Making your way back up onto hands. We're going to step the left foot forwards. Take your right leg back. Drop the right knee to the ground. Front heel is under the front knee. And then reaching your arms to warrior one. So every pose that we have has an optimal alignment for your stacking of your bones to create the strength and the release in the posture that we're aiming for. That's why I'm so particular about the alignment, as well as keeping your body safe, keeping your joints protected. Okay, opening up, left forearm to the inside of the left knee, and then reaching your right arm back behind you. Turn your right palm up to roll the shoulder open, and hug both shoulders towards your spine. You can look back over the right hand if you want to. Circling hands over to the inside of the left foot. Take your left foot out wider than your left shoulder and then move into your half splits again. So right hip and thigh bone are over the right knee joint. Stretch the left leg straight and flex your left ankle. Either hands stay under your chest, or maybe starting to slide the arms forward. The more you reach the arms forward, the more you're going to focus onto what's going on with the pelvis. So keep that right hip over the right knee. Now an advanced half splits is not full splits. An advanced half splits is doing what I'm doing, is taking your forehead to the ground. So you've got to flatten out into the spine as much as you can. That's how you will get your head to the floor here. Right? The left foot is wider than the left shoulder to allow for your body to sink to the inside of the left thigh. Coming back up onto your hands, making your way into your lizard. So left heel under the left knee. We're going for that optimal stacking of the leg bones. And then either staying with the arms parallel, straight under the shoulder joints. Or if you're going deeper, then it's left elbow down first, then the right elbow to keep the chest square to the ground. Don't hover with one elbow in the air and have one on the floor. They've got to be on the same level as each other. Keep your weight into the back of your left thigh and into your left bum. Just check that that left knee is not leaning out. That's going to over-tighten the outer thigh and the glutes. So you hug your knee in towards your body, and that will help to release the inside and the outside of the leg, even though we're contracting the inner thigh muscles here. It's a release. Okay, coming back up onto hands, and this time we're stepping back into downwards facing dog. Now stepping your feet into touch each other, heels together, big toes together in your down dog. Give it a good squeeze into the heels. So you're just getting that extra stretch into the calves and the backs of the ankles with feet together. We don't do down dog normally like this because it puts quite a lot of pressure on the knee joint. So we usually do it feet a little bit apart, but it's quite nice to do it every now and then with feet together, get that extra stretch in the back of the leg. Okay, dropping knees down to the edges of the mat. We're taking a rest here. Just sit back onto your heels or take hips back as far as you can towards your heels. And sink your forehead, sink your elbows to the mat. Fully relax your upper body, relax your neck, and relax into your face. breathing yourself heavy, breathing yourself soft. We're going to make our way up onto hands, and from there we're coming to sitting. So you're going to stretch your legs straight out in front of you with feet together to start. Keep the right leg straight and the right foot flexed as you bring your left foot up the inside of your right thigh for Jana Shashasana. Don't flop that right foot to the side. That over tightens the inner and the outer thigh and hip. So the optimal alignment is right knee pointing straight up, right toes pointing straight up. Either folding forward, hands to the ground, or hands to shin, or reaching for your foot, but keep your back flat. Don't round the spine, even if that means you need to be higher up in your torso. Now, the closer you fold to that right leg, the more the spine will want to round. So you have to keep trying to stretch the chest forwards towards your right foot. Don't look at your chest, look straight down at your shin or your right foot or hands. And each time you breathe out, sink into the backs of the thighs, sink into the pelvis. Each time you breathe in, stretch your chest forwards, lengthen the top of your head forwards. Keep noticing your breath. And coming all the way up, we're going to the other side. Stretch the left leg straight, bend the right knee up and flop it down towards the floor. And then flex that left ankle. Don't flop it. Keep the left knee straight up. Keep the left toes straight up. Either tipping onto hands or reaching further forward, but flatten into your back. Folding down deeper with a rounded spine is not going to help you to release. It's going to tighten you. So we have to get out of our head. We've got to work with the alignment to release the body rather than being in the head and thinking if I pull myself deeper, I'm going to get more release. You won't. You'll just tighten. Your body starts to resist against you if you're pulling. So we want to soften into poses rather than forcing ourselves into them. If you work with the alignment, you are going to start to open faster. If you work with your breath, that will happen even more rapidly. So softening into the breath, keep noticing your breath. Keep lengthening into your breaths. And we come all the way up. Stretch the right leg straight. And now we're going to come into Botha Konasana. And remember, Botha Konasana, you place the feet where it's most comfortable for your groins. They don't have to squish all the way in towards your pelvis. Take the feet further forward if that's more comfortable. And now as we fold, we want that flat back again. Don't hunch and pull on the arms to get your head closer to your feet. We're aiming for chest to heels. So lengthen the chest forward, even if that means you're up higher with a flatter back. Remember that we are always aiming for relative comfort rather than intensity in our yoga postures. That way they will work best for you rather than working against you. Keep taking chest forwards, trying to extend out of the lower back. With your breath, we soften into the inner legs. And coming all the way up, we'll stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Big toes are together. Don't flop the toes apart. You'll hear me saying that over and over again. Keep the big toes together. And then we're going to forward fold. Again, flat back as you go forward. Don't hunch your chest towards your belly. So look forwards towards shins or feet or even in front of the feet to help the chest lengthen forward to flatten out your back. And then when you're ready, hold the pose wherever it's most comfortable for you. Again, not aiming for intensity here, not pulling yourself deeper, and then working with the breath. Try to lengthen the breaths. Make them long, full, and deep. And you'll notice the more you can lengthen the breath, the more your body will start to sink and release. Sometimes that working with the breath takes many years to really get to that most effective way of working with the breath. So we've got to practice and practice our breathing. And coming all the way up, we're going to open the legs out into a V. We're coming to 1hr25min. Check the feet, toes point straight up, or you can always tilt the toes in or the knees slightly in towards each other. Don't flop them out away from each other. Toes straight up or turned in. And it's fine if your knees are a little bit bent here. You can even roll up towels and put them under the knees or the thighs if you need to have the knees a bit bent. Then we're tipping forwards, but don't hold the inner edges of the feet, guys. Outer edges of the feet if you're down that far, or hands on the floor, or hands on shins, or elbows down, or all the way down. Coming back to those long, full, deep breaths. If you can, you make your out breaths longer than your in breaths. Noticing the heaviness each time you breathe out. Sinking, releasing sensation that comes with the exhale. Then coming all the way up, you bring the legs in, and you are going to need your strap or your belt. From there, we're going to lie down onto backs like we did at the beginning of the class. But this time, legs straight out on the floor instead of knees bent up. And once you stretch those legs straight, bring the heels together, flex your ankles with big toes touching. You get your strap and take it over the left foot. So it's over the base of the toes on the foot, not over the arch of the foot or the heel. And then really stretch long into the right leg. The leg that's on the floor, push that heel away from you. Pull your toes back towards your right knee. And sink evenly into the pelvis. Sink evenly into the shoulders. Don't worry if your lifted leg is bent. That's fine. Keep trying to flex the ankle of that lifted leg. And keep trying to stretch long through the leg that's on the floor, pressing the back of the thigh down into the ground. And we check in with the shoulders, sink the armpits, soften the shoulders down towards the mat. And now we're going to take a twist. So reach up with your right hand to hold the two sides of the strap. Drop your left onto the floor. And we take that left leg over your body towards the right. Right toes flop down towards the mat. Right knee twists over towards the right. And keep your nose pointing straight up. And your left arm, you can bend the elbow and turn the left palm up to the ceiling. That's going to flatten the left shoulder down and open into your chest. So the lifted leg, maybe that knee is still bent, that's fine. If you can, keep trying to flex the ankle. It's not about the leg getting straight. It's about the flex in the ankle to help release the back of the leg. Keep breathing the shoulders down into the ground, relaxing into your upper torso. And then making your way back to center. Just stretch those legs straight out on the floor with the feet together again, heels in line with the top of your head. Then lift that right leg up and take your strap over your foot. So strap is over the base of the toes, not the arch of the foot. And stretch the left leg straight on the ground. Don't worry about right knee bent or straight. Do what feels best for you. Keep stretching into your left leg, pushing the left heel away from you, pulling the left toes up towards your hip. Fully sinking into the shoulders. Soften into your chest with your breath. Let your head feel really heavy, relaxing the sides and the back of your neck. Keep trying to get the back of your left knee to touch the floor. You can think of this as your upside down splits lying on your back. So deep stretch for the back of the right thigh and bum, and for the front of the left thigh and hip. Alright, let's take it into the twist. So you're to reach up with your left hand to hold onto your straps or your belt. Drop your right arm to the floor and twist that right leg over to the left. We turn the right palm up to the ceiling, right elbow bends. Sink the right elbow and shoulder into the ground. Left foot flops over to the left. You can let that left leg relax, but keep flexing into your right ankle, whether your knee is bent or straight. Nose pointing straight up. Don't look at that right foot. And soften the upper body. Sink the shoulder blades flat into the ground beneath you. Lengthen into your breaths. And now untwisting yourself and coming back to center. Drop your strap down to the ground. You're done with that. And hug your knees into your chest. Squeeze in. If you want to take it deeper, you can go into your happy baby. So lifting heels up over knees with the knees bent. Holding onto ankles or calves or edges of the feet or your heels. Maybe rocking yourself from side to side. Draw the shoulders down towards the floor. And press your lower spine down towards the mat. So even though you're rocking side to side here, we want to try and keep the spine on the ground. And then hugging knees into chest once more. And now we're going to move into our rest. So we're going to take a few minutes of deep belly breathing before we go into our full Shavasana. And you can either have legs straight on the floor or bend the knees up, feet on the sides of the mat, and dropping knees in to touch each other. Then bringing your hands onto your belly. So tummy below your belly button, so that we can feel the tummy move with the hands. I want you to really soften into your belly. Each time you breathe in, press your tummy up to lift the hands. You think of that big, fat, happy Buddha. And that's the kind of belly that we want now, not that tight, slim tummy. You soften the belly muscles fully so that it can fully expand as you breathe in. As you breathe out, then you can squeeze the tummy down. Each time you breathe out, soften and sink into shoulders. Get really heavy with the feet and the legs. Full deep belly breaths in and out. We want to really work into filling the lungs right now. But we do that by focusing on what we're doing with the belly. These full deep breaths are really good for keeping your breathing muscles healthy. Full expansion into belly, full expansion into the lungs and the ribs. Each exhale makes you heavier, sinks you deeper into your spine. And now allow your breaths to get even longer and even fuller and deeper. Stay with those deep breaths. With 3 full minutes of deep belly breath. And now we're going to move into a few more minutes of complete rest. So allowing the feet to flop and the knees to fully flop open and relax. Dropping arms to the floor with the palms face up. Your eyes should already be closed. And becoming really, really heavy throughout your whole body. Allowing any last remaining tension to soften and melt away. Dropping down deep into your rest. Now bringing your awareness back to your body, touching your thumb gently over the tips of each of your fingers, or starting to wiggle the fingers awake, feeling and wiggling into your toes, rolling your wrists, rolling the ankles, making any small movements that you feel right to make to reconnect and wake your body up. Rolling head from side to side. And when you're ready, you're going to take in a deep breath and give yourself a full body stretch open. Maybe hugging your knees into your chest or bending the knees and rolling them side to side. And carefully making your way up to sitting. And grow the spine tall. Bringing hands together at heart for closing invocation. May our minds be open to the divine light that guides us. May our hearts be open to the divine love that surrounds us. May the angels keep us and bless us and bring us joy. Thanks everyone, and namaste.